It is one of the biggest discussions this morning, or at least for the first few days of this year, in as far as matters politics are concerned. What's happening to ODM, the second biggest party in terms of political strength in Parliament? And this is where we begin our conversation this morning with my panelists, beginning on my immediate left, David Kiplagat, MP Soi. Karibu sana and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's good to see you this year.
Everyone.
Karibu sana.
Yeah.
Next to Bwana Kiplagat, we have Danson Mungatana, Senator, Tana River County. Karibu sana and Happy New Year to you, sir.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, for the very first time on this panel, Rachel Omolo, public policy and governance expert, joins us. It is a pleasure to have you in studio. Karibu sana and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, Fred, and Happy New Year.
Yes, and Professor Fred Ogola, familiar face on this panel, also joins us this morning as an economic and governance expert. Happy New Year and Karibu sana.
Happy New Year to you, Fred, and all Kenyans.
Yes, let's start with you, Professor. Did you anticipate that this would be happening to ODM at this time? And do you think that this probably will be one of the biggest political discussions of 2026, the fall of ODM?
Yeah, Fred, I was a member of ODM. I was a life member of ODM. And I know why Raila had got even two parties. I'm sure you guys don't know that there was LDP, which was Raila's party. That party never died. Currently now, I'm the one who has taken over that party. And that was a true pass from him. But he was very advisory that ODM had issues that if not Raila's unity, ODM had no grounds to stand. And let me just explain this to you. The greediness of the people surrounding Raila in ODM was up in the roof. You hear the issue of who ate the money for agents. That's just part of the story. Rachel, you come from Luo Nyanza, at least I can guess. You must have tried to get a party ticket in ODM. Those people, first of all, took money from aspirants for you to see Raila Odinga. Even to take a photo with Raila, you needed to pay money. You were party leader. They took money from people. They allowed people to campaign for using millions of money. Like I'm sure I blew 160 million shillings in Uganda. Then later they told me I'm too young. So when I was too young, why did they accept me even to begin running? How do someone spend 160 million shillings and tell them they are too young? And now they are saying that the young tax. When I was too young, now they are saying that they want young people in the party. So ODM, the greediness around those people was too much. Secondly, people paid money for nominations and they never held those nominations in the end. They said direct ticket. You can count it from one of the people they say most prominent, for example, the current CS for Energy, or Pio and I, who was the tax collector for that region. And Oburu Odinga was also collecting taxes. People gave their money.
Those are very serious.
No, they can be substantial. Fred, I was running.
You do not have the time or the ability to substantiate such.
Yes, I have. I have that. They have to be told, then you give me a chance to explain.
I'm more concerned about the consequences of having a party with the status of that ODM has dropping off.
So I'm telling you, the foundation is the greediness around those people. Mm-hmm. People claim that Raila needed money for this, needed money for that. Why was Uhuru giving money for agents? Giving to who? Why were candidates who are running giving money? If you talk about the numbers they're discussing, why were numbers low in all those areas? People were transporting voters from another constituency to another constituency, hoping to get nomination for ODM. When they did not get that ticket, they never transported them on the election day. There's a lot, Fred, that can be discussed. I'm trying to tell you that the structure of ODM, if you look at the people who are the inner circle of ODM, the greed they had, even Junet himself confessed of how some people he was taking to Raila and pretending that Raila needs money to give people tickets. So the structure of ODM is bad. Then lastly, and very importantly, people have to understand that ODM is a family business. A family business is different from other businesses. There's that thing called family. The fact that it's a family business, these people are trying to say, oh, I can become a party leader. No, you can't become a party leader in a family business. Okay. ODM was a kiosk that has been used to take money and was run like a kiosk. Okay. And therefore, a kiosk cannot survive if it has no governance structures that can make it work.
Thank you, Prof.
ODM was big because of Raila. In Raila's absence, ODM is a shell.
And that is what we want to examine right now, Rachel, because ODM has been there for about 20 or so years. And so out of the last 3-4 elections, it has been one of the most dominant parties that has survived 3-4 elections, and at least all the elections under the new constitution, under the Constitution 2010. What kind of effect would it have to have ODM crumble 20 months to the next election?
Thanks, Fred. I'm listening to my friend and counting it from Siaya, Fred. Yes, I did vie in 2022 as a member of parliament for Bondo constituency, but I don't think if what Professor is saying is true about the party. What we are seeing happening is because of people trying to get space within the party. After Baba's demise, the party has not come together as leadership, at least not that I know of, apart from the special session that we had in Mombasa, the NDC, where we confirmed our new party leader and other leaders within the party, where people could vent out and speak up. And as far as I'm also concerned, after the election of 2022, I don't remember any particular day that the party also sat where they dissected and looked into why did we fail as a party. So some of these things are the result of what should have been done post the last election period, and now that is what is eating up the party today. And I don't see ODM disintegrating further than what we are seeing now, just because of a few leaders here and there trying to fight for their own spaces within the party. If you talk of our SG Sifuna, and because this is narrowly around Sifuna and Junet, and what people perceive ODM should have done right or wrong during the last election. So we see Sifuna claiming, and actually some of his utterances of late, in my view, are not right, even as an SG, because he speaks on behalf of the party. So when he speaks for the party, and he purports to be speaking about the party issues and speaking on his own self-interest that safeguards his position within Nairobi County, it is not right. It's bringing a lot of jittery within the party. It brings a lot of confusion because people look up to Sifuna as a leader within the party, and also largely as an ODM member, we want to see a more cohesive leadership going forward post-Baba. So when we see the kind of utterances that we are seeing and the infights here and there, I don't think if it's something that warrants us to say that the ODM may not see 2027 or may disintegrate further than what we already see. But because of the kind of the structure that the party has, everyone wants a pie within a piece of the pie.
We've seen a number of parties, Senator Mungatana, crumble months to the elections. Parties that are very powerful, PNU, NARC, Jubilee, KANU itself, now ODM. These are parties that have at some point been the ruling parties in Kenya. What do you see as a consequence of a party with the status that ODM has potentially crumbling before the 2027 election?
Okay, first, good morning, Kenyans. I wanted to pray that ODM doesn't crumble, because it's not a good thing for that to happen. And especially for those who participated in the formation of that political party, to see a party going down, you really feel it. I was very central in the formation of the NARC Kenya party then, a very big political party that was supporting President Mwai Kibaki. In fact, I was the one who started the formation. Those people who came in later may not have known that when Uhuru Kenyatta lost that election, from my perspective, he was the party leader of KANU. KANU was a strong, united party, although it had lost. But it was one voice on the other side of the aisle. We, on the other side, we had NARC Rainbow. We had just come in NARC Rainbow. But within NARC Rainbow, there was a Ford Kenya outfit. There was, that was for Musikari Kombo at that time. There was Charity Ngilu with the NK. There was those of us who are directly in DP, you know, and all this. So what I did, I went to see the late Mwiraria, who was then like the definition of DP. I talked to Musikari Kombo, I talked to Charity Ngilu, I talked to Honorable Kiraito Murungi, and others who are senior members in cabinet. And I told them, in the next general election, if Uhuru is standing in one united political party called KANU, and us, we are in different political parties, the likelihood is that we might take a thrashing. So let's create one big political party. And pushed until the president himself accepted that party. And then we held one big meeting in Nakuru, in which now we endorsed the party symbol, the party whatever. And I remember Honorable Betty Tet, she's the one who actually proposed that symbol of the red flower. And we went out as NAG Kenya and tried to build up that party, and I was in the leadership, you know. So, of course, things happened, and, you know, the party is not what it was then. And it feels bad when you see your party going down. That's why I'm saying I'm hoping the ODM party will not go down. But the reality of the fact is that in Kenya, the political parties have been associated with personalities. So, like, we took a beating in NAK Kenya when the big personality there, President Mwai Kibaki, pushed out in the last minute and joined PNU. Some of the people went and convinced him that, oh, we need to set up another party called the Party of National Unity. And we had to transmit some of our candidates that had already paid as members of parliament, transmit them to PNU, because they came to tell us, look, Mheshimiwa Mungatana, do you want me to lose my seat? I say, no. How can I help? He says, look, I've already paid here for the ticket, but you see, the president is running on PNU. So I need to be in the president's party. So then we had an agreement. PNU was not unfriendly to us, that they would give us lots, what. So we transported some of our members there. So losing a big personality actually affects a political party. It affects it negatively. So my prayer is that the thinking of the new generation political parties, let me call them, or the old political parties that must now transform into the current thinking, is that let us build political parties like corporates. You know, Safaricom has had a CEO change, another change, another change. It has had a chairman who has come and gone, another chairman, you know, but it has continued to grow. KenGen, the same thing. Why? It's because they have a board culture, a strong board culture, strong management systems that are put in place. And the systems that you can follow and see what is happening, transparency, you know, the things that Ogola here is talking about, you know, transparency, accountability. So if political parties can start running like corporates, so that, yes, we are affiliated to them, yes, we are whatever, but you know that if my party wrongs me, there is a system of dispute resolution. If people behave in a certain way, they can be removed. There's a place to be had, like Mheshimiwa is saying, a place that, you know, if I have disputes, I can be had, you know, and they can be resolved. And there's a system that works, that is beyond the party leader. And if I pray myself that ODM can somehow, you know, fumble and settle down. But the whole thing is there a proper dispute resolution mechanism within the party?
Right.
You know, and the same thing I would say for our party, UDA. In UDA, we are trying to also create a really big party. So far, the huge personality in our party is the president. But the good thing is that the president has sort of like moved a bit aside. You don't hear him chairing meetings, doing what, and that is positive for me.
Is it?
Yes, because what you, let me tell you, you need to sort of like distance the big personality from the system, so that in the absence of that big personality, the system still continues. So my prayer is that political parties will be run like corporates.
And that has always been the dream, even for President William Ruto, to form a big monolithic party like the Communist Party of China. He even sent people there. But it would appear in Kenya, our approach and our relationship with these political parties is very different. The individuals remain the same, but for every election cycle, it's only Raila Odinga that had maintained one party for 20 years or so. Do you see anything different now? Should anyone be worried that probably 2027 ODM will just be a pale shadow of its former self?
I just want to pick from where my senator has started, is that political parties in Kenya have one common intrinsic factor that you find in the developed worlds they don't have. That is, they are built around individuals, and when you eliminate that individuals, of course the ship will remain unsteady, and that is what you are also seeing in ODM and all other parties. As the senator said, if you see all the other parties, how they have gone when the key individuals that formed the party exits, they just become pale of themselves. Looking critically at ODM, ODM was actually, BABA was the enigma of politics, and ODM was ODM, or whichever subsets that's come from. It has always been built around BABA. So with the exit of BABA, unless we have another replica leader within ODM who can be able to hold that cohesiveness that BABA used, which is, you see, it is very rare to duplicate a leader, very rare, because they have their own...
In Kenya's case, it's only happened for KANU. After Jomo Kenyatta, Daniel Moi stood...
I'll come to that. So the problems that is affecting ODM currently are actually what usually happens when a party leader exits the stage. So maybe my advice is to the current party leader, because what is happening in ODM, even if you look at the infights within ODM, what Raila had actually achieved is trying to bring several leaders from different regions together. You had the leader from the coast, the leader from Western. He had managed to build that cohesiveness. And even if ODM was to reduce their angles, I can tell you for a fact, the way I'm seeing is that the Western Kenya will build on their own. The coast will build on their own. The Northeastern will build on their own. So there will be different segments that will form their own region for purposes of negotiating with the coalition that is going to be formed. And part of it, ODM will also be there. But it will have shrunk. Yes. Those are facts. It will have shrunk. Maybe what I wanted to say is that if you look at developed democracies, it is high time that parties are formed on ideology. A very good example, you'll always find there are two sides of the coin in any democracy. There are the conservatives, and then there are the Democrats. The Democrats believes in free world, everything doing ABCD without any restrictions. The conservative believes in conserving some of the cultures, issues, and they actually build around that, so that if you go to Britain, you will have the conservatives and you will have the Labour. The ideology remains constant. The leaders change, but the ideology remains constant. If you go to the US, you have the Democrats, you have the Republicans. It's about America and things like that. That ideology of Trump fits very well with the Republican. And the ideology of the free world of Democrats fits very well with the Democrats. So because the ideologies is constant, then it goes beyond the leader who is occupying. Look at even what is happening in Europe. In Europe, you used to have two parties. But there are some issues that the two sides of the coins are no longer covering. And that's why now prominently a third force is coming to build around immigration issues, to build around what we call the green party. So there's an ideology that the citizens feel these two are no longer covering. So that's why you have you have sprouting of the third one. So if Kenya was to mature, and I hope it will mature finally, if Kenya was to be mature, we need to build political parties around ideologies. And ideologies, there are always two, and a maximum of three.
Thank you for that. And yes, that's the basis of what's happening, the wrangling within ODM, and we can go on and on talking about the details thereof. But one of the byproducts of the wrangling within ODM is apparent revisiting of what may have happened or may not have happened in the 2022 elections. Especially, we've had all these claims of servers, reopening of the servers, and I don't know if we're due for a break. Yes, we will come back to discuss what happened in the 2022 election and whether or not that is another thing that we will focus on this year. Remember, it's only 20 months to the next election, because even on the front page of the Standard, something else very interesting is happening. A revisiting of what may have happened or may not have happened in both the 2017 and the 2022 election. You're watching Morning Cafe.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Omer every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV 47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV 47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV 47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gas. Betty, I don't know where this guy's going.
Walikutoka.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Wewe
ni simpa.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist. What is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV 47. Enjoy uninterrupted live streaming of your favorite programs on TV 47 and Radio 47 on the go with our new mobile-friendly website. Experience the future of broadcasting. Visit www.tv47.digital or scan this QR code and stream your way to endless news and entertainment. Welcome to the home of untold stories.
and the future of ODM, a lot of headlines predicting and prophesying the death of this party, which is the biggest parliamentary party that we have, the oldest and probably strongest party in, under the new constitution. But I want us now to move on to another discussion, and this is the revisiting of what may have happened or not happened in past elections. And I'm still in studio with MP David Kiplagat of Soi, Senator Danson Mungatana of Tana River, Rachel Omolo, and Professor Fred Ogola. Now, the headline on the front page of the Standard talks about the election system. ODM had always been on the forefront, and they've actually used a phrase here that was attributed to Raila Odinga, vifaranga vya computer. This was way back in 2017 when the elections were nullified. And this is perhaps one of the most interesting angles to come out of what has happened in Venezuela, because this came out in court in New York when President Maduro was presented in court. One of those people who wrote to the court to probably add his evidence to it is a former general from Venezuela, and said that the electoral system they used in Venezuela, which is exactly what we have in Kenya, the same that produces the Kim's kit, was used by Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, okay, now the former president of Venezuela, to rig elections. These same claims were made in Kenya in 2017 by Raila Odinga. Now, we seem to be at a point in time when we are revisiting what may or may not have happened in elections, in previous elections, especially 2017 and 2022. Professor, do you think this is going to dominate the discussions this year? And what potential consequence will this have?
Yeah, Fred, I'm sure you know I was in studio, and let me take this time to thank TV47 for how it has grown. TV47 came very strongly from the beginning during the 2022 election. And can you imagine the journey? I don't want to talk about it because you can imagine the journey. From when TV47 was covering this story right at Bomas, and I was there with your crew, and we could tell what was going on there. It is going to be a very important story. When I was on studio and I said that the election is being rigged, and I was talking about the issue of mathematics, and they always set these things up. Someone sets up mathematics in a company, for example, in Greece, pretending to procure to run elections in Kenya, yet that is actually done by some other agencies which have interest in the election. That's what happens. And when you hear the interferences they do, a company that has been registered, now mathematics does not exist as a company. Before that, there was another company that was running elections, which was formed some days before the election. They can procure the election materials and run. And I'm telling you, I am LDP presidential aspirant. When IEBC gazettes me, I'll be a presidential candidate. We are not going to allow these things to happen. And we have done our mapping. We will not allow someone to play with our game names in Bomas. And this discussion is going to be very big. LDP is working on a serious way to counter this election fraud. We have put up a team in place just to look at how elections must be free and fair. and Fred, IEBC must answer these tough questions that are being raised at the moment. For instance, why should presidential elections take too long? There is no polling station that has more than 900 votes according to the law. When turnout is 65%, those are less than 600 votes to be counted. They shouldn't be counted within 1 hour. After 1 hour, because the law is also very clear that after polling station closes, you must first of all count the presidential votes. So after 1 hour, all polling stations in Kenya should have actually generated Form 34A. Now we just put that in the system and know the president-elect by 8 p.m. on the election night. I was in New York, you're talking about where mathematics is. I was involved in the election between Mamdani, the mayor, and Andrew Cuomo, who was contesting for the mayor seat. I went to polling stations. I even distributed food in New York. I can tell you, elections, you just hear that on the screen, poll closed. Within no time, results start streaming. Within no time, we are the winner. Within no time, somebody concedes defeat, and we have a mayor by around 9:30 p.m. what are we doing in Kenya that cannot be done? I'll put IEBC the task to simulate for us, how can you count 600 votes for 3 days? We'll put a ballot box in public. We will put ballot papers inside there, 600, and let us tell us, how do they count? I used to be a church boy. We used to count 10 cents and make it 600 shillings. We used to count Sadaka from 10 cents to 600 shillings in a day and give the father all the reports. How can you count ballot papers for 3 days? Mm-hmm. It's not possible. And I also want to tell the guys, you know, the accusation taking place, oh, who was supposed to do what, who was supposed to do what. When Raila said open the server, he was told by IEBC that he didn't have agents. Agents are not supposed to protect the vote only. We have an electoral commission. How do you put it that you're running for election? You make it so hard, my brother Fred. You are running for election. You have to do campaign. You have to do all that. At the same time, you must guard your vote. Yet there is electoral commission, which is independent. You cannot independent, yet we must play a role in the election. Mm-hmm. So we want to ensure that elections are a little cheap. For example, do you know why the agent money is important? If you're putting 3 agents in every polling station, and they're being paid 5,000 shillings per agent, and you have 37,000 polling stations in Kenya, how much money do you need to run for president? Mm-hmm. It means that there is no way a son of a peasant will run for election. Okay. And for me, this is important. And Fred, just allow me to say something before you stop me. I'm sure you said the other segment, but we just have to say that ODM is suffering from a founder's syndrome. Remember that ODM is not just the only one dying. As a corporate guy, there's what you call the Fortune 500 firms. Fortune 500 firms were the 500 most powerful firms in the world. Do you know that original founders, only 6 are alive? Remaining 494 died. Founder syndrome here is, oh, Baba left us here. Oh, Baba told me. Oh, Baba told us. Oh, Baba appeared to me in a dream. Come on. All right. We are men and women enough in ODM who needs to make decisions, and I want to give them advice. When Steve Jobs died, Cook came and said, advice that Steve Jobs gave him, do not act like if Jobs was here, Jobs could have done this. If Jobs was here, could have said this. Act like Cook. Come and cook Apple. Forget about Jobs. Right. Don't Jobs Apple. Just do what? Cook what? Apple. I want to tell ODM, don't Baba ODM, lead ODM. Right. Because the problem we are having is that there's no one can give direction, no one has legitimacy. ODM looks like a snake that has 10 heads that cannot go anywhere. When I was a young boy, we knew that a snake with 10 heads is a devil, because a devil do not know where it's going and stopping us from going to heaven.
Thank you, Prof. Allow me to engage Rachel in this. And speaking of Baba, in as far as the advent of the use of technology in our electoral processes from 2013, 2017, 2022, Raila Odinga has been constantly complaining about this, and he has constantly demanded the opening of servers. He's the one who coined this phrase, vifaranga vya computer. It is the same problem he has constantly presented before the Supreme Court. Yet now he appears to be vindicated by this new revelation that yes, indeed, there are systems originating from elsewhere that could be tampered with.
Any system, anything made by human hand can fault, may not give you what you want at whatever point. So I don't want to say that Baba was right all along, but until the servers are opened, in the case of Kenya, we may never know the truth. Having said that, I think it is incumbent in IEBC to ensure they build more trust with Kenyans. The issue here is really the trust. So they go, we are the same people who put them in place, and immediately, like we saw with the current IEBC commissioners, we see this particular political party sending a commissioner whom they trust, and immediately once the election or the nomination of these commissioners are done, they start saying, these are not our people. So if we cannot trust the people we put in authority to do the work for us, are we going to trust the results that they give us? So it's upon us as Kenyans to help the IEBC work to ensure that they deliver for us a credible election. If we put them in place and immediately start complaining before they do even the work, then it will be very difficult even for them to work going forward. But given the outcome of the by-elections that we saw, I think the IEBC did some good work for starters, having been in the office for a few months just before the by-elections, and having given us results, which to date I think only the Mbere one was being disputed. I think likely that was what we would call credible. So I don't want to give them a lot of credit so far, but it is important for them to build trust with Kenyans, because system may fail us. But as Prof has said, we don't have to get results 3 days or 4 days later, results which according to our laws are supposed to be printed the very same day and put on each and every polling station. If that be the case, it is also not right for any political party, if IEBC were to do their work, for us to also start looking for agents to watch over what IEBC is doing. Our work is not to oversight election. It is the work of IEBC. So it is not right for us to always keep talking about, did you have agents? For us to know whether the results are credible. No, the credibility of the results lies squarely with IEBC. It is not with the agents. Remember, the people who are going to announce the election results are not our agents. They are the returning officers employed by IEBC. So until we start trusting the institutions that we've given mandate to do some of these things, we will continuously cry foul or take people to court, because we're in a very litigious country where everyone wants to take you to court for whatever reason. But I think it is high time for IEBC not to take whatever we are seeing on standard and change that narrative, that we can actually deliver credible election without even agents being at the polling
What
station.
would it take to reverse such a headline, and as far as the dent it serves on IEBC's credibility? Because that's a question. This was IEBC, fine, the commissioners were different, but it's the same IEBC that was accused of colluding or working with other agencies or foreign agents to manipulate election results.
First, it's important for IEBC also to do a lot of civic education. That is what is lacking and ailing this country. We go to election where people don't even know, when I elect a Senator Mungatana here, what is his role? So they go there hoping that Mungatana will become their MP. And when they don't get Mungatana there, they know whatever is happening, they are electing Mungatana because Mungatana is their brother. Are you electing Rachel because Rachel is a good leader? So once we understand the role that IEBC plays, and IEBC does give proper civic education to Kenyans, and we understand whoever you put into leadership, those are the people who are going to give you the policies, make the laws for us, that are going to govern this country.
All right.
So it is incumbent upon IEBC to make sure they do proper civic education prior to election. And this should be continuous. Let them not just wait 3 months to election and then they start running helter-skelter that, oh, we are having this public participation here, we want to train people here, we want to train people there. This should be a continuous process,
right,
so that they enlighten the Kenyans.
Dr. Mungatana, the level of mistrust in the electoral process comes from different angles. There are those who do not trust the commission. Now there's a lot of mistrust on the technology, as what we see on the front page. Even political mistrust within the same political parties. We're seeing ODM with the claims that some were paid to hire agents, they did not. Why do we have so much mistrust in the entire process? It would appear nothing is correct in this entire process, not from the party level.
Now, Fred, I like speaking from experience because I have the fortune of being around a bit. I now currently head the Kenya delegation to Pan-African Parliament. And one of the duties we do as Pan-African Parliament, parliamentarians from different countries, we observe elections. So I had the opportunity to sit as an observer in the elections of Sierra Leone. And what we are talking about in Kenya is no different from what they are talking about in Sierra Leone. And if you followed the elections in Madagascar, same story, same thing. And the last sessions we had, we were in Cape Town for a training by ESAMI. ESAMI is an organization that deals with elections and whatever. Anybody in this field would know ESAMI. And they were training us on election observation and the things that come. So everybody was giving their experiences. And again, throughout Africa and other parts of the world, the same challenges exist. And you can see from your questioning, it's another part of the world when someone is writing in another jurisdiction talking about the same issues of Camargo and so on. So how do we deal with issues to do with trust, with elections management? For me, and this matter has come before the Senate, and I debated. What I'm saying is what I said then, that what we need is, first of all, to perfect the management of the electronic system. Okay, we may not agree. And even people may say, oh, it can be manipulated and so on. But as compared to human error, juxtaposed against the errors that can be committed by an electoral system that is electronic, human error is larger. And India, the biggest democracy in the world, is able to deliver its results so quickly because of the electoral system. And India doesn't even have, like an IEBC, Just like in the US, the Secretary of State in each state is the IEBC in the USA. You don't have an independent electoral commission because the systems are such that I can't go and tell the Secretary of State to rig me in that state. Everyone can see. So what we need to do is to perfect the electronic management of our elections. It's not to go back. There are people who I hear want to go back to manual counting. I think what we need is to perfect the system. How do we perfect the system? We start from procurement. The registered political organizations, the registered political parties must be clear that the procurement of the system that we are going to use in 2027 was done in a transparent manner. The existing political parties, because they are the main players anyway, we can say independents are there, but the main players are political parties. They must be able to say that we have seen, like in movies we say trailer, we have seen how the system works. We have had a dry run of the system. So that we have a meeting where, and this is something I hope the chairman is listening to me wherever he is, or the commissioners, that the political parties are the ones who will say the elections were free and fair, or the elections were not free and fair. So involve them, procurement, and show them this is how it works, and show them these are the deficiencies of the system, and this is how we are fixing these deficiencies. Then go to from the political parties, go to the mass media. Tell the people, this is how we procured this system. So it is free of manenos. And then this is how the system will work. And we have sat with leaders of political parties. And now we are talking to you. The chairman should be out there so that he tells the people, plus the commissioners, what is it that this system is supposed to do? How is it supposed to work? So that if I stand in an election and I lose, I don't feel bad about it. If I win, my contender doesn't feel bad about it. My thinking is that the system must be perfected, the system must be made transparent. Number two, us leaders must get out of this nonsense of the people's president, the people's governor, the people's senator, the people's MP. That must come out of us. When an ordinary citizen stands up and says, this institution is useless, it can be private opinion and you forget about it. If Senator Mgatana stands up and says, IEBC is a useless organization, it cannot deliver, I'm speaking and my voice is a bigger platform. So what I need is to create confidence. If it is the institutions of police, the institutions of judiciary, where the election petitions will go, the institution that is managing elections. But for me to create that confidence, I must be told by my political party that we have had a dry run. We have seen the system, it is working. And even them, they are able to come. My Secretary General, Mheshimiwa Hassan Omar, is able to call all of us.
As a possible aspirant, do you have that level of confidence right now?
No, I'm saying it needs to be done.
Yes, so it's not there.
It's not done. It's not yet done. It needs to be done so that my SG can call me and say, look, guys, this system works like this. All of us, and tells us, you know, and if you have a petition, this is what you're supposed to do. So for me, we as the election management authority, the body, IEBC, needs to up its game. Number two, we as leaders, we need to up our game. This thing of abusing authorities and thinking that you're becoming famous by calling the police stupid, IEBC stupid, the courts are non-functional, and it's not a good thing for leaders. Okay. Let us create confidence in the institutions, but the institution must also wake up and do its bit.
Bwana Kiplagat, a lot of these contestations around elections are usually around the presidential election, but even at the level of a member of parliament, member of the National Assembly, member of the Senate, there are serious concerns about this. Are you confident, forgetting about your preferred presidential candidate, as a member of parliament, are you confident in the integrity of these systems?
Okay, first of all, I think the headline, the standard headline is a bit confusing, because they are comparing Venezuela and Kenya under the Smartmatic. You see systems, election systems, and I'm talking also as an expert in IT. Election systems encompasses several modules. One is fully electronic, where you just go, you verify yourself, and you touch a button, you vote, and in the evening the results are released. Kenya, by the way, people might think we have an electronic system of elections. Majorly, our elections are manual. Mm-hmm. The only thing that is system-based is the verification of the voter and the transmission of results. Otherwise, voting, you get a paper, you select your candidate, you vote, you put it in the ballot box. In the evening, through you have the agents, you open up, they verify, and counting is done. And then when that counting is done, it is entered into Form 34A, Form 35C, Form 36, I don't know whether it's 36D or whichever. So purely, the entire system is manual. The only thing is transmission and then verification. You have even seen, in terms of transmission of the presidential vote, when it is being transmitted to the epicenter, that's the bombers, also the media aggregates and displays to the members of the public through the vote estate. But you have seen in the last two elections, it never goes beyond 66%. Once it reaches 66%, it is plucked because of the emotional build-up of various. You know, everybody expects his side to win. So when they now see the results are, and you know, it starts at the lower level.
Do you think that is part of the problem, that there's no clarity, that they cannot allow, you're not allowed to use the same system to announce results?
So what I wanted to say is that this headline is a bit misplaced. Kenya, we don't run an electronic.
But they're very clear. It is the same system that was brought to Kenya.
You see, the same system. It depends on which
supply of Kim's gadgets.
In the Muli. It depends on which systems have we installed. And I've told you, the only modules we have installed is one for the verification of the voter through the biometric, and lastly, the result transmission. Those are the only two modules we have. We have actualized. The other modules, including voting, including counting, including everything, is manual. And that is why when you go to court with Form 34A. Look at Form 34A and tell me what is electronic about it. Nothing. It is figures being entered, and the agent signing. And when the court picks Form 34A, it will also say, open this ballot box. We verify whether they are in tandem. So we should not actually be, you cannot pick just a whole body, you pick a finger, and then all of a sudden you run that the whole body is computerized. So let us also tell the Kenyans the truth. Our elections is still manual, largely, 90% manual.
All right.
All the other issues. So you can now tell me what is rigged about verification, and what is rigged about transmission. And transmission, and the only thing that is verifiable in court, and I think that has been made into the Supreme Court, is Form 34A, and the results that are counted at the polling station is final.
All right.
Those are facts. So we need not to start comparing. You know, somebody picks an headline, an opposition comes and addresses the media. Now look at what happened is in Venezuela. There was a smartmatic that has also, that we are also using to vote.
All right.
Basically.
So, first of all, Fred, be careful, because this whole bench is government. I'm the only opposition here. Because Rachel is broad-based and these guys are in government. And I'm concerned when government is saying that they want to verify the system. Yet, who rigs election? Have you ever seen?
But they're all aspirants.
No, listen. They're in government, isn't it? We talk about presidential election, isn't it? Who rigs election? Can opposition come and rig the election? It has not happened in Kenya so far. Maybe our first opposition will rig the election so that the government will go to court. Tell me any day when the ruling party has gone to court to challenge the election results. Never happened in Kenya. So I'm just using facts. I'm sure you may not like what I'm saying.
Can I correct?
Allow me to finish.
Please,
then
I kept quiet when he talked. I felt there's some things I want to tell him. But I just respected them. So allow me. You are giving them more time again.
No, Prof. Just
the last election.
I'll give each one of you an opportunity.
Yeah. So first of all, Fred, let's start by saying this. He's saying that we should give, like Honorable Mugatana said, we should give confidence to a system which is rigged. I went to court Fred Ogola. I was in this talking about it, challenging the nomination of Ekethon as the chair of IEBC, isn't it? We challenged this IEBC selection process where somebody was sneaked in even after the shortlisting was done. It was already compromised. Fred, things don't go wrong. They start wrong. Okay. So if you're telling us give confidence to already where there's no confidence. So what we're going to do, in fact, I've been telling the opposition, instead of saying, oh, we are opposing the system, let us have a counter system that will ensure that this rigged system is impotent.
A system parallel to what IEBC has.
Yes. You know what mistake ODM did in 2022? And Fred, allow me to even cry, because I've told BAMBA, we are losing this election. When I was in Bomas, actually on set, when I asked, and I've sent even a message, a link from a TV live conversation in 2022 to your producer, where I asked, is technology in charge of the election or IEBC is in charge? That was the question. I've shown Rachel here, and she's seen it. Now, you're talking about Smartmatics. Smartmatics is a scam. It's a scam to make us go somewhere. So if you are telling us that the technology cannot bend the election, Fred, is false. Do you know why? The process of verifying using Kim's kit, some people went to a polling station and found their names are not there. They are verifying using what? The system, the technology, isn't it? You are having your ID, you have your voter registration here, and you can't vote because the system has refused. This is a fact. So I will not buy what Mheshimiwa Kabla is saying, even what Mheshimiwa Ngatana is saying. I know that that system has been used to rig the election.
Okay.
Because we saw many cases. Look at Wajakoya was live complaining in Kakamega where he said he had a stronghold. He went there himself with his ID, with his voter's number, and he could not vote until he voted around 3 p.m. And he was there by 6 p.m. So if you're telling me system have no say in the election, no, I'm giving you evidence.
I want us to exhaust this.
Just allow me, let me finish
briefly,
my
because of time, yes.
What am I trying to say, Fred? There is nothing against the law coming out the own system to say. So I told Baba, the mistake we made was that when UDA declared they had won the election before the results were announced by IEBC. That's on record, isn't it? We had no result to declare because our command center, like you hear, was not working. Even there was a claim that Baba was denied. No, that is not true. The truth of the matter is that it was not working. Okay. They set it up to fail. Can you have a command center that never generates results? Rachel, you are in ODM. Did your command center generate even results of any election, whether it's MP or senator? It was a scam also. Okay. So in 2027, I'm telling the opposition, if they are serious about winning this election, by 8 p.m., we will declare who has won the election.
Through a parallel system.
It's through a parallel system. So theirs will verify.
Okay.
And IEBC will not have powers to say the last word. If the elections are filed on a polling station, there is a petition in court with the opposition which stated that there is no need for bombers. In fact, let me warn people who are planning to rig the election. They will end up surrounded by Singenge in State House, and bombers will be completely useless that day if they dare rig the election. So because we know the system is rigged against us, we won't allow them again to take us through that route.
Quick reactions to what you said. Yeah, quick reactions to what you said, starting with you, Rachel.
One, I think we've seen in the past election, 2017, when we introduced the electoral system, electronic system, Kim's kit was working in tandem with the manual for verification. So where an individual would say, my name is not appearing, or they are unable to verify with the Kim's kit, then they would check on the manual. So which I want to believe is a good system, that at least no one is left out. And I want to believe that's why Honorable Jakoya was eventually able to vote. Secondly, I don't think if it's also it would be right for all political actors to run a parallel tallying center and all giving their own results.
What's wrong with that?
And that is how...
If you are agreeing with the right thing, what's wrong with that?
And he's saying his should be the final, and IEBC will not have a say once they declare. That is what he has just said. And if each and everyone was supposed to declare results and IEBC should not comment thereafter, then what are we doing? Are we taking the mandate from IEBC?
People's power.
Are we taking...
Fred,
Professor,
the sovereign power belongs to the people. Once people have spoken, what is IEBC?
And when the people have spoken, and these same political parties have their agents who sign Form 34As on behalf of the same people. Therefore, they should accept the results of Form 34A. And if IEBC are to declare the results as final at any polling station, I want to believe the same result is what he's supposed to relay to the public.
All right.
And that is what the system is.
It's okay. I like speaking from experience. Like I've said, I've been around a bit. I have won elections, I have lost elections. And I know when I'm winning an election and when I'm losing an election. Why? Because it is irresponsible for you as a candidate. I was a member of parliament, now I'm a senator. For you not to know that you are losing or you are winning. As a member of parliament, you have agents everywhere in your polling stations. And for me, I would know. I don't need the returning officer to tell me my results.
So if you don't have agents, that's irresponsible of you as a politician.
It is your own irresponsibility. Yes. But I'm saying this. My experience has been, my guys would give me the results. They would tell me, we have finished counting here, this is the return. We have seen counting this polling station, this is the return. I have my own place. I don't need to announce whatever the IEBC is saying. I know that I have won this election. When I'm going there to sit to wait, I'm just going to just it's a ceremony. It's like wedding. You already have the girl, you already whatever. It's just a ceremony to put an in and sign a certificate. You see, that is what happened when I was running for MP, and when I'm running for Senate, and even this time, I don't need to announce to the world that, oh, I'm going to have a parallel center, I will declare results. This is political talk, and to me, it is neither here nor there. I think you as a presidential candidate need to be able to have your own systems. And then you as a governor candidate need to have your own systems. You as a Senate candidate and the MP and the MCA, you should have your own system.
And when you talk about systems, it's basically agents at polling
Your
stations.
agents should be able to tell you, this is the boss, this is what we have returned in this polling station. Boss, this is what we've returned. In this constituency, this is what we have. In this constituency, bado tunaendelea counting. Or this place, they have not brought the box, but we have 70% of the nini, so we are good to go. Our other guy is at, uko chini. So you should be able to organize yourself. And I think election management is not just a business of the IEBC. The candidate also must have a team for comms, must have a team for management of the election. So those who are interested in running, apart from your manifesto and the politics, the politics is general talk, blah, 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 and the promises you give, you must have a system that really manages, and you must have your lawyers, you must have your accountants. It's not a joke. This is not about yelling and whatever. What expenses are you running? Where are you spending your money? Your accountants are important. Your lawyers are important for compliance purposes. Your agents are important, and the whole management system should be at your fingertips, so that you know. And then when you lose an election, don't, for Christ's sake, go there and start saying, oh, I am the people's senator. If you've lost, go congratulate your contender and hand him the office. Don't go there and start saying they rigged my election. This kind of nonsense Kenya must stop.
But Mukatana said this before himself that it was rigged.
I think he's in agreement. He's in agreement.
I'll give you a credit.
No, Prof. I think you need to be honest.
I think you're in agreement that
No. He
every
needs
professor
to be honest because we are in a national TV.
No,
Don't joke. When I lost my election, Fred, I congratulated the person who won the election.
You are in ODM before.
I was never in ODM. Look, he has already...
Let's move on. Let's move on.
I have never... No, let's clarify.
But there's something
Fred,
also
let us clarify. I think Prof needs to get his facts right. I have never been in ODM. I have always been on the other side, and I have never gone to court to challenge any election because I know when I've lost, I know when I've won.
Thank you, Dr. Mugatana.
I think we should never take Professor Ogola seriously.
I think so.
I think that's what they want to say.
Just engages in small talks because
I've been taken seriously by more serious people than
he's a good friend of
Ogola.
He's a good friend. He's a good friend of mine. We share the same joint where we also share the same.
And Fred, is that a fair comment to say I should never be taken seriously? You take that also. I'm happy to hear them saying that.
Professor.
They can't verify that.
I'll come back to you. The show is still not over.
In fact, I can substantiate why you should not take.
No, please move on with that more substantive contributions.
Our last talk was very serious. He's actually a presidential candidate.
Yeah.
But from the argument I've seen, he has said if the opposition wants to win this seat, they should do this. So I'm wondering, he's also a presidential candidate.
Opposition,
why is he not the one to do it so that he wins? Ama he's contesting just for fun.
Opposition,
so
Fred Ogola is opposition. Come on.
That's what I'm saying. You should not.
I said earlier, I'm the only opposition here also. Remember that.
Let's not waste more time on that.
Having said that, I think it is very important that we build confidence within our population, within our voters. It is the work, when you are an aspirant, whether you are a presidential candidate, whether you are going for an MP, they are provided, systems and checks are provided in terms of that you have your trustees within the polling stations, you have your agents, and your agents should not be compromisable, so that at least when they are signing the Form 34A, they know what they are signing and it is the truth. But you will find a situation whereby a presidential candidate don't have agents in a polling station. And he had a budget of around, somebody was telling me, for you to contest president, you need around 6 billion. So you wonder, this 6 billion, where was he investing? If you cannot spend in your agents, say that you run through all your polling stations in Kenya, and you find out there are some polling stations you don't have you don't have agents, and then you ended up, and those are the places you will complain most, because you will get half-baked information that this one was done, this one was done, this one was done. So it is incumbent among all people who are participating in an election system to make sure that that privilege they have been given to guard the vote, they make sure they use it to guard the vote. And finally, we should tell our people that nothing in Kenya is electronic. There are only two modules that are electronic. That is the verification and the transmission.
All right.
The other stories, everything is manual, and confirmation is always manual.
All right. As we get to the close of the show, and because this is where you get an opportunity to give your final remarks, but today is just the third working day of 2026. And so what we're doing for the first 1-2 weeks is to try and set the agenda for the year. So far, we've discussed one of the possible big discussions this year is the future of ODM. The second one is the integrity of the electoral process, 20 months to elections. But there are other discussions that we are yet to touch, one of them including the ambitions that we have in our leadership, going the direction of Singapore, mega infrastructure projects, even mention of a possible referendum. So as you make your final comment, your hopes and ambitions for the year, and do you think some of these ambitions and aspirations are valid at this point? Keeping in mind that you're only 20 months to elections. As you make your final comments, Prof.
Yeah, first of all, I don't think that there's a need for us to spend too much time on ODM, because I told you earlier that ODM will go, just like others have gone. KANU went, but I like what my brother Mungatana said, that we need to build a party that looks like a corporate. If you go to LDP, the party where I'm its presidential candidate, we have two arms. There's admin arm run by technocrats. There's a political arm run by the politicians like me now. So I head the political arm of LDP. The admin arm is purely corporate. Even my chair is an engineer. He has no business in politics. The party leader is an accountant. He does not want to know about politics. But they ensure compliance and the rest. LDP is a party built to last. And as ODM gives way, which I said was set up in a ways that might not go further, because they talk about build to last. If you didn't build an organization to last, it won't go. I've told about the Fortune 500. So let's look for parties which are new generation parties, but of course now run differently by technocrats, not tumbocrats. Parties which are more meritocracy-driven, not oligarchy-driven. And I believe LDP is a party that will take place because power abhors a vacuum. So as ODM is exiting, because there's no direction, I told you it's like a snake with 10 heads. It can't go anywhere. My catechist taught me when I was a young boy that the devil do not want to go to heaven, but stopping people from getting to heaven. What's business that the devil have in this world? Because devil does not want to go to heaven. Have you had a devil who is trying to go to heaven? None. So devils of this world should not stop us from going to heaven. So allow new, fresh organizations to emerge. ENCC is a party which is 117 years. Democratic Party, Republican Party, they are built exactly how LDP is built. And that's why you cannot acquire LDP, you cannot buy it. It belongs to the members, and members have a voice. Had ODM had done that, it could have been the party of the future. And Fred, let me end by talking about Kenyans. There's something you need to know as we set up the agenda for economy. I don't like politics much because I'm not a politician. I was born, that's why he cannot take me seriously in a political discussion. But economists take me seriously on economic matters. Let me go where I belong. Let me leave them, they do politics. What's happened in Kenya at the moment? Kenya needs to be very much keen that they don't have a government. Why do I say so? A government should be able to offer services to citizens as per the taxes they pay. And that's why I talk about delegating the powers to the government to do this work. Now look here. Skill capitation, you see, 9,374 shillings taken away from the students. If no education took place on any of us sitting on this bench, even Dr. Mungatana could have not had very honorable title like that. Even you in IT, even Rachel, as a policy governance, even me here, I would be nothing without education. I want to tell Kenyans, be very vigilant about education, how your money is being spent. This should be a very important discussion for 2026. The last thing I want to say about this is that the government of Kenya has 5 problems that no single government can have unless it's not a government. Let me count them. 1.
Briefly.
I'm very brief. 1, this government is borrowing when we already have 13 trillion debt. This year they'll owe another 1 trillion. That's okay if only the debt is the problem. The second thing, this government is selling off assets. Safaricom, Kenya Reinsurance. How can you have one person borrowing heavily, at the same time selling everything? That same person has pending bills and pending wages. Today, after this, we are going to a mega demonstration with clinical officers. They are claiming they are not being paid. This is what I'm going to do up now.
All right.
And the same person is also taxing heavily. It is impossible, Fred, you as a husband at home, to say you are going to borrow money to pay workers in your household, then you actually borrow the money, you still earn a salary, but then these were not being paid. The infrastructure projects, they are being borrowed to build. So where are they spending money? Okay. So Kenyans in 2026, be very keen. Where does your money go? What does your money do for you? And let the president not tell us what he's doing, is how. Is he doing it, but more corruptly?
Okay.
Is he doing it with more fairness?
I need to give each one of them.
Money belongs to Kenya. It's not what you do with it, but how you do it that will give us what we call credibility, but not just saying, I am building for you a highway. No.
Thank you.
If you build it more efficiently, more effectively, then we can give you applause, but not just building a road. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Rachel, you go next.
I think I want to support my brother, Honorable Kiplagat, that we can't take Prof seriously. He says he's not a politician and yet he's a presidential candidate. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, Trump wasn't one. He became president. Look at what he's doing. So thank you very much.
So one, I would want to call on our ODM supporters that the wrangles we are seeing within the party are normal within any organization, any political party. We are not isolated. And so it's upon us to support our new party leader, to build a more cohesive party, a party which is more forward-looking, because any political party's agenda is to capture power, either be in leadership or form part of that leadership. And as we gave full support to BAMBA, so I urge all the supporters to give full support to Honorable Oburu Oginga, so that if he directs us, this is the direction. And I'm glad that even at the point BAMBA left us, he left us in a position where he knew where he wanted us to be, and that is in broad-based government. I'm not the new SD of our party, but I'll urge our members that let us support the broad-based government as where BAMBA left us as at now, until 2027. And if we foresee that that is not working for us, let us reflect on the 10 points agenda that BAMBA agreed upon, and if it's not working, there's nothing wrong with us coming into formation and agreements with other like-minded political parties so that we move this country forward. And secondly, I also would want to urge the president that we are only 20 months away from the next election. We have seen a lot of promises from the government, and we are also seeing what is happening with the many deaths on the road along Naivasha and other areas. So if we would move from promises to action and see some of these projects realized, like Mau Summit, Rironi Road, and many others that the president has promised, I don't think if a two-term we'll love to sing the two-term tune anymore, but the people will see the work that the president is doing. Not many other promises, but within this year, let us see more of actions being done. I know Fred is almost interrupting, yeah. But let's see more of actions being done than the promises that are happening. Otherwise, I'm wishing all the Kenyans a very blessed new year, a very prosperous new year, and let us support this country by working towards developing the country.
Thank you, Rachel. Dr. Mugatana.
Fred, I want to just say very from the very bottom of my heart that I am very thankful for the Kenyans who took their time to come to the coast for the holidays. It was wonderful. The bed occupancy was very big. Now we are talking from Lamu all the way down to Kwale and Taita Taveta. So a lot of our people in that area got jobs, business was booming, and tourism was very good. So I want to thank the Kenyans who spent their shilling in the coast. And I also want to equally say, those Kenyans who went to South Africa, to Dubai, and to London and whatever, God is seeing you. You made your shillings here and you went to spend them elsewhere. God is watching you. But I am also encouraging you that April is coming. Come back home and spend your shilling in Kenya. I am saying this because last year, the last quarter, the expansion of the economy in Kenya was 4.9% GDP as compared to the last quarter of 2024. That means something good is happening in this economy.
No.
And I want to say, I want to say this again. I'm not talking from whatever. I am talking from the facts given by the Central Bank of Kenya. The expansion was 4.9% of the GDP compared to the last year at the same period, the last quarter of the year. I also want to say that the sector, the private sector, if you are listening to NTV even last night, they will tell you that we ended up at a very high note. Let me tell you, the Kenyan shilling has held stable for a long time. We collected, this year, KRA will tell you that we increased the collection by 6.8%. And in reality, we are heading to a better time. So I want to tell Kenyans that as we begin this year, get back to work, dig in and do your best. As I say this because, again, from experience, this is the year that we must finish our things, because what happens is there is a sort of a recession period during electioneering. So 2027 might not be as bright as this year, but this year, let us plant, let us harvest, let us do. I'm telling Kenyans, it's going to be a good year. And I thank God that we started this last quarter, we started going up, and we should maintain that process, because even inflation has stabilized. And Kenya has been ranked, and I'm saying this from facts, by IMD. The IMD is a highly respected business school of management, international management development, based in Lausanne, Switzerland. Okay. Number one economy that is developing within Africa, number 56 globally. Okay. So we are heading to good times. Yes. And I'm asking Kenyans, 2026, let's roll our sleeves and work, because 27, because of elections, it might have some recession.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mugatana. Finally.
Thank you. Maybe my closing remarks is just picking up from where Senator Mugatana has left, is that the Kenyan economy looks bullish in terms of looking at the data from verifiable sources. We have our economy growing by 4.9%, up from the 2.5% that was realized the other year. So if you look at even on the newspapers, they are indicating that most of the companies are now employing heavily because there is stability in the market. Maybe it is not good to sell cheap talk. And cheap talk, I mean, when you say that we are converting equity into infrastructure fund so that we can be able to create enabling environment for business to thrive. What we are just doing is that strategically, we want to get government away from doing commercial business, and we convert that equity into the infrastructure fund. And in that funding, the 5.0 trillion, we now convert it to do major infrastructure projects. Major infrastructure projects in in roads, major infrastructure projects in our airports, major infrastructure projects in our railway system, major infrastructure projects in water.
Okay.
What that will achieve is that the ease of movement of goods. Secondly, the food security, because what will happen is, you know Kenya, the arable land, through rainwater, we have a lot of arable land that we don't have water. But if we can be able to harvest water so that we do irrigation system, big irrigation systems, I can tell you, once we reduce on importing of food like rice, like maize, like oil, the trajectory in which the president has put this country, and that is why we are saying Singapore, the journey has started, and here we come, and for those we leave the devils.
Thank you,
They don't want to go to Singapore. I was just borrowing from Professor Ogola. The devils who don't want to go to Singapore, let us leave them. I can tell you, 10 years down the line, 15 down the line, it will go into Arnold's book of history that there was a president who actually thought outside the box, and he was able to fix this country into a fast.
Asante sana. David Kiplagat, MP Soy. Yes, the journey to Singapore is definitely one of those big discussion points of 2026. Have we kicked it off? Yes. And how are we doing it? Yes, thank you so much, David Kiplagat, MP Soy, Dr. Danson Mungatana, Senator Tana River, Rachel Omolo, Public Policy and Governance Expert, and Professor Fred Ogola, Economic and Governance Expert. Our panelists this morning on State of the Nation on the third working day of 2026. As we continue setting the agenda for this year, big discussions politically and otherwise, and these conversations will definitely continue. Once again, a look at the dailies. The Star. No medicine, no doctors inside crisis in hospitals. Daily Nation, betrayal is a question they're asking. Ruto-Moi deal falters. And on the Standard, the big one, questions around the integrity of the electoral system, rigged system fears. That's the Standard. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the State of the Nation. My name is Fred Indemuli. Good morning.